My daughter lives on Ballin. South end kind of north.
Does she?
Well, the Legion Band's up to Anita sold the place.
Okay.
But they've got that additional property from the railroad, I don't know when they closed.
Yeah, prior owner, we tried to clean those up as they came before me or just to make sure that they got.
Yeah, they did.
Otherwise, it's just
That's those properties. Well, they pay taxes probably, does it revert back to the county then, right?
Maybe that's what they
I
did.
mean, I don't,
But why would you want?
I don't know how they remember them because that was before me, unless the railroad signed off on them.
they must have, because I mean, it makes the property substantially bigger.
Yeah,
Cause I mean, us and those 4 little
Oh.
tracks, why we acquired them to start with.
unless they went back to tax. When
That's
they
what I
got the
mean.
tax list from the railroad, when we ended up with them, that would be my guess.
That
Cause
must
over
have
the
been a
years,
long time ago, 'cause
Yeah.
I don't remember ever asking for tax deeds on those.
yeah, I mean, over the years, I kept trying to clean them up as I would be involved in it, just because it made sense to make sure that owner behind owned it.
I thought, when we looked at it before, we were thinking.
I wasn't in
the trails.
location.
It worked on my computer, I can't
I
get to
remember
ours
someone
on
who
it,
did
of course,
the
railroad
railroad
took it out. So let me keep working on it, we're on.
Which is how they ended up,
Yeah.
we didn't want to do it then.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah,
We did it prior.
The recording is on, I'm just working to get it up there.
So I guess we can go ahead and start, should be on your.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got
it's on
that.
here, but anything else that can go up there. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Obviously a little late, but we had the agenda sent to us. We have the minutes of August 11th sent to us with additional corrections to those minutes.
I just have a question, Randy. You quote somebody, Randy Braun, I'm like in our governor, is that the correct name? B-R-A-U-N?
Well, it's a different Braun.
But
yes,
spelled the
it's
same, that was
spelling.
my only question.
To my knowledge, I don't believe there's any
Relationship.
relationship. Randy's been in that position for many years.
I just didn't know if we got confused, you wanted to say Governor Braun.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 11th, 2025.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we had drainage claims came through with a regular claim this morning.
I'll make a motion to approve claims.
Second.
Okay, we have motion second on claims, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next slide that you see is your financials from 2 weeks ago on the 11th. You have 99 systems in the positive, 10 in the negative. You have your amounts in your funds, and you have a GDI balance of almost $346,000. Followed by the financials on the next slide for today. Things haven't changed a whole lot. You still have 99 systems positive, 10 in the negative. And you can see that there's been a slight change in the GDI actually went up by somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000, $12,000. And the reason for that and how some of these systems change is that we take interest in monthly on our drainage system. So sometimes we'll get, but it's never an appreciable amount going up or down from that particular, but every little bit helps. So that's what we have in our financials, not a lot of difference. We always want to try to keep 100,000 for these systems, but in this case, 10 systems that we have in the negative in case we need to do any work. So at this point in time, that finishes that up. The first item for today is the Pollock ditch. This is number 112 and 126. The current balance in that system
Same as what we.
is $2,191.50.
Oh, I don't have one. I'm good.
Well, I printed my own
Oh,
off,
okay.
she sent them to
Did
us,
you
so.
print it? Anita, do you want a copy, hard copy?
I'm good.
You're good? Everybody's good?
We have an annual collection of $9,238.42. Before the next slide goes back, the date is wrong. I pulled that from our previous meeting on the 11th day of March of 2024, when we had when we did all of the deciding on what was going on. We were still bringing in $9,238.42. The difference is that we had $17,112.50 Obviously, we've had some collections in that time frame, but also we've had a fair amount of bills. As you know from the March 11th minutes, we approved Seaver Brothers Excavating to debrush and excavate out the areas in the upland portions of the drain. Following down through the slides that we had at that time, the area shown in purple is the watershed area. This is on the west side of the South Branch of the Elkhart River and north of Albion Road, and goes up to basically the 500 west area, and we have some watershed above 500 west, goes up watershed wise to about 5.5 north. The next slide that you'll see is from also the March 11th meeting of 2024, where I showed the links along the drain, and also in the lighter blue overview, you'll see the wetland delineation area, followed by that taking off, zooming in the lower portion, basically from the Y downstream to the outlet of the Elkhart River. And I remember telling you at that time, if you notice, it goes north out and around the actual water. It doesn't follow the area of the drain, as you can see highlighted with both the red line being the drain and the dimensions showing every 100 foot. The following slide is an aerial that I took from Google Earth. The green shows up the water down through, especially the water not moving on that, and you can see how the water comes down so far past the Y junction and then takes off to the north and goes out and around and back to the east, connects back into the regulated drain, and then goes out to the I didn't realize it was up there.
That's okay.
Goes back to the regulated drain and then on to the Pollock. The following slide you'll see is the area where it was highlighted in yellow, the upland area that we were going to look at bottom dipping and was ultimately approved to the Drainage Board at that time to take care of. Now moving back to slides with today's date, you can see on the next slide where the drain actually is in the location of the regulated drain instead of going out to the north and back around. Nick Bushy hired Seaver Brothers Excavating to clean that area down there. We had the area, as I'd shown on the previous slide, where it was highlighted in yellow, and the areas below that he agreed to take care of, and presumably after permits and everything that they took that area. And now that you've got it up on the screen, I can show you up here. Thank you. It used to come out through here and back around. After they got done, they debrushed this area and they bottom dipped this area, one stepped it and brought it out to an area right on the south end of the Hannah property. Moving on to the next slide. I want to show that area as far as the floodplain and the floodway. This area is the floodway shown in red, and this area is in yellow, and that's floodplain. Permits have to be gotten to do any work within the floodway. Presumably, Mr. Seaver, Mr. Bushy got the proper permits to do that, and filling within a floodplain takes permitting, and I assume that that was done because there's fill dirt in the floodplain. This shows what it looked like before without the right-of-way on it, just the drain. Like I said, on the upper end, both branches, there's tile down here, both branches flow in an easterly direction, come together at the junction here, came over, went out of the drain area. This is all flat, open area, pretty typical of the South Branch of the Elkhart River basin area. And then it came back in.
Just a second. Okay, now try going back up one.
And this is what it is today, basically the same thing here. We dip this area here, we dip this area here. Mr. Bushy was responsible for dipping down below. You can see how the drain pretty much follows the regulated drain right away according to the legal description. And well, there's a zoom in of that area prior to the work being done. As I said a number of times this morning, came down this far, traveled northerly, easterly, wandered down through the Elkhart River. Same area blown up today, shows the water pretty much following the regulated drain right-of-way legal description. That's why you can see less water traveling through this area here. A little bit of the debris from the brush sitting back here. Deposit from the work that was completed. That shows the upper end with the wetland. And I think that's it. So I think now, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Bushy wants to go over to a set of slides that you brought in, or Leanne brought in.
He'll need a
So you're
clicker.
gonna,
He'll need a
you'll need a
clicker.
clicker and she's going to slide it over to your PowerPoint presentation.
Should.
All right, well, I wanna thank everybody for getting John to get that deep brushing done, because once he got started last summer and got to the river, he thought, well, we can talk to Mark Hanna, we can kind of dip that out of there, and I knew, with the budget and everything's going on, so. So we got back here, and then, we started working our way west, I'll go back to these. So there was no ditch, so getting the dredge back there was like useless, you can see what we dealt with, so I helped John find these mats, move them in with my Bobcat. And you can see the ditch here on the right or left, I mean, there was nothing. There was no way that water was getting out of there. And then when we finally got back here and there's looking west over to where the water was held up, wasn't draining. And when we busted that through, what do you estimate, about 8 inches of water ran out of there?
Oh, yeah.
So we lowered the water to the west by 8 inches, and you can tell by now, Troyer, he bought some muckland out there now, he mows it. He's got these horses there pasture, water was running over the banks for the last 6 years. That's what we dealt with, kind of come down through there, dig it all out and haul it out to the fields. And then there used to be a pond back where Randy showed all that water going out, that's bone dry, I was just out there this weekend looking at it. Eric was out here today doing some discing for me, and this ditch has never been like this. And it's gotta help you all the way up to your tile, it goes up to your farm. I noticed Buchanan's mowed their muck this summer finally across the road from 500 West. But it's just, and that's where the waters ran through there, you see that little gully that started cutting when we got close enough to drop the water level. But, anyway, so we got a nice looking ditch now. I mean, I just had a kid, when we had that rain 4 weeks ago, I dropped my farm kid in a canoe and he went all the way to the river, and that was not over the banks in one spot. I mean, it's not flooding anywhere back here. And Hannah's farmed her last 20 acres this year, by the first time in, who knows, so they couldn't get back here. So, that's what it looked like when John got done with, there's the Y, picture of the Y right there. I don't know if I have your picture, I don't have your picture all the way back to the river, but anyway, it's finally draining all that water out there and looking good, but, I know this is a county ditch, but, I spent $47,000 to prove this point. It can be single step, we got it back here, we dropped the water level 8 inches or more. All the neighbors are feeling the benefits of this. And, you don't know if you don't ask, but, I'd like to get reimbursed on this. This was an 8-year project to try to get this done. Now we gotta, figure out how we get from where John stopped to get all the way out to the 500 West, because them ditches are just full of sod and roots, and I see you guys are out there with the buggy trying to spray, and we need a culvert put in one ditch, and then he can make it all the way to the road or down to where it turns to go up towards Verdetti. The north side should be easy, you should be able to buggy that out of there, and I got a place to dump it on the north bullet, so. Anyway, that was just the basics of the meeting.
Looks like you did a good job.
Well, John did most of the work.
I mean, it looks awesome, actually. I mean,
Yeah,
jeez.
it turned out good.
I mean, I wasn't in Vietnam, but all those Tall weeds look like that, they would have a relapse if you weren't. Man.
Well, he called me a few days, a little nervous, but he made it all the way to the river. He did what the impossible, there's nobody else would do this, nobody.
Wow.
I mean, his family knows how to handle that muck and river, and John must have had a lot of good training from his dad.
Our meetings are recorded, and for those for the public that don't know your voices, you need to state your name if you make any comments or what have you, so you two gentlemen in the back row, if you'll state your name for the records.
Eric Strader, John Seaver.
Okay, thank you.
So what are your thoughts on that, Randy?
Plus on what?
Some type of, I mean, $47,000.
All told between the two parties, to the best of my knowledge, we spent about $78,000 on the project. Reason why I brought you those two slides in the beginning from the current stats, the stats at that time, is you only bring in $9,200 a year, you only have $2,100. Where you're gonna get your finances to be able to do anything. The other article is before, my recommendation would be that before you enter into any agreement, that you be provided the permits that were required to be able to do this work, because you enter into something and all defer to legal counsel, and permits aren't acquired, then you become a party to it. So, I'm assuming the permits were acquired, but I believe that you've got to have that in order to be able to move forward, or otherwise, if you agree to make reimbursement, to the best of my knowledge, referring to legal counsel, you become party to the violation.
If we reimburse and there weren't permits, yeah, then there's a problem.
Can you answer that question?
Was there permits for debrushing?
Yeah.
You had,
Bottom dipping and working within the floodway.
what about him running the excavator all the way back to debrush, was there permits for that?
You'd have to have something from DNR on the floodway.
Well, you guys hired John first, he called me once he was at the river.
We only debrushed the area that we
There was
were
no
on.
permits for that?
We weren't in the floodway.
Yeah, you were, all the way to the river you were.
I'm not aware that we had anything in the floodway.
You had to, you showed you brushed from my highland all the way through Hannah's back to the river.
There's part of that's a floodplain.
And most of it is. But
The
first-
area back in the back is
First, the
floodway.
county hired the Seavers to brush all the way to the river, and he did that.
To the best of my knowledge, everything that we did was in the floodplain.
You'd have to pull your map back up, but was there not permits required for that?
No, as long as you take care of the debrushing and take it out, there's no permits required for, one step, as long as you haul the material out and put it in a proper upland area. It's when you work in a floodway, and also if you deposit materials in a floodplain or floodway.
Okay.
Both of those things took place. Maybe you have those permits.
No, I don't, that's because the dirt he hauled on my property got thrown in my high ground field for the farmer.
Which one do you need? Does it say? Oh, okay.
The area that we have right there, and basically you're talking the bottom dipping. As long as you take the brush out, but when you start doing bottom dipping, then you have to get a permit in the floodway, which is the area in red. And if you do any deposit, you can't deposit in a floodway or a floodplain. Brushing's not the issue. The issue is anytime you do excavation in any of this area, because it's all regulated, this especially because that's the floodway, but if you deposit, it's gotta be outside of the floodplain. I assumed, and we talked in the meeting in the minutes of March 11th, even stated that there would be permits needed to be able to do that work.
It's a regulated drain, right, Randy?
Yes,
but also those jurisdictions are at state and federal level.
And for us to get it functioning properly, we would have had to pretty much do the same repairs.
You would have to go through the permitting process before you would do any of that work.
Right, but I'm saying they've already, well, we needed to get that fixed, correct? I
Well,
mean, it had to be fixed.
I don't know that it had to be fixed, it was the desire to fix it, and it's best to drain ground.
Well, I would
believe the
rather take-
benefits probably did not outweigh the cost in this, but that's another issue that was decided a year and a half ago on March
I mean, I
11th.
don't know why we always have these contentious things, but I would rather approach this from a more positive aspect. It needed to be done. They got it done. Now, what can we do to make this right and, not threaten anybody with permits and
I
things of
would
that
say
nature?
that, first of all, I'm not threatening anybody, I'm advising the drainage board as to the best that I can, along with your legal counsel, so don't come to me. That's
Well-
number one. Number two, if you want to spend more money, I would suggest that you have a rate increase hearing and change this from $9,200 to 2, 3, 4 times that, or at least do it for a 5-year period. If you remember, well, you weren't here, I don't, Jay Stuckman, down in the southwest part of the county. Those people wanted to put in 1,400 feet of 48-inch tile. They wanted to bottom dip the remainder of the area. They wanted to resolve their issue. They were willing to step up to the table and have a very high rate for 5 years, which is ultimately gonna end up in 10 years before putting it back up to a reasonable amount. That's not the case here. And as far as permits, I can't, I'm not gonna even begin to advise you on what to do after the fact as far as permitting on this. I can look into it for you, but I would defer to legal counsel for
Well,
thoughts on
as
that.
far as that, unless there's some sort of agreement, I wouldn't even want to look into that. I would think that would be their obligation to look at first. If there needs to be permits, those can now be acquired, then come back in and after we have proof things were done properly.
Well, the dirt was all hauled on agricultural ground, what was in ag production.
And it may be that, as far as floodplain, it can be agricultural ground. Don't mix up wetland with floodplain.
Right.
What the area in yellow and red from this aspect says that when you have a flooding situation, those areas are likely to become saturated and full of water. If you look at it, the topography probably pretty much follows right around there, and that's higher up there where the X is, because that's outside the floodplain. So any excavating work done in the red needs to have permitting, and the haul out needs to be hauled to that little area there, similar to when we were in that area, which if you turned it on, that field right there, for the most part, is not floodplain. Now, this isn't the first time that people have filled in floodplains, and that can be probably dealt with much easier. And I'm not saying you can't get a permit for working within the floodway, but that would be a IDNR call. That's not a local government.
Well, it has to be an after the fact permit now.
Yes.
Is that difficult? I mean, can that be done?
In this situation, I wouldn't think it would be. Because all the dirt was hauled out to agricultural ground, not in wetlands.
Leanne, do you have the minutes from that meeting?
And then beyond that, you gotta look at, with no more money than you bring in, can you financially look at it? Do you have any way of even considering it?
Maybe it's a cost share, I don't know, but it sounds like the first thing, if I'm hearing everybody correctly, the county's not gonna participate. And until some permitting stuff. Is that what I'm hearing, Denny?
As far as after the fact, as Mr. Seaver said, we'd be required to get down.
I mean, I don't know what that process is.
I don't know that we've ever gotten a permit for one-step haul out. We used to be told.
It's not the one-step haul out. It's doing any work within a floodway.
Well, maybe there won't be one.
One
I guess
step
that would
wouldn't be
the
a
thing. I would
problem.
want some assurance there
Oh,
is,
I think-
wasn't a permit required even, so.
I think there will, I don't know that it will be necessarily that difficult, because you did the process correct in hauling it out. But there is anytime anyone works within the area shown in red, you have to go through DNR.
Whether it be dirt or brush.
Brush is not an issue because they look at it more excavation.
That's a question to ask DNR guys. What's all included in that? I don't know. It looks like you guys did a great job. I mean, and it is a regulated drain, something we would manage, correct?
This is something that we have to deal with all the time.
Yes.
At least outside state and federal regulations just becomes a nightmare.
So continue west from where we stop, is that, I take it that's your responsibility to file for permits then, if we wanna finish the project?
There is, from where we ended at the drive back there, which is on the right side, the east side of what Nick's referring to, back to the road, there's approximately 2,650 feet. That is all gonna have to be one stepped out onto that field to the southeast. Estimated cost for that will be somewhere likely between $25,000 and $30,000.
That's on west of where they're at.
That's west of what everybody has already done. Dealing with a $2,200 balance.
That's a quote you got from John?
That's what we estimate for
That's
one
basically
step.
a $10 a foot estimate. is
That's what I use.
I usually go off of.
So
Now, the other thing to keep in mind on that is there is one drive down through there, I believe it was spoiled from many years ago, that goes along the south side of this drain. There's a gate right here, it comes along the south side, there's a cabin right here, and then it continues down through there. There'll be no problem with the excavator matting this down through here, but basically you're sitting on top of crap fill that was put in from previous bottom dippings. How long can you keep a machine up that's hauling dirt before you blow that thing up? Once you blow it up, you don't have any other way to get to that field other than driving clear out, going up 500, back around 525 to the north gate, come back in to deposit on that field. I would assume, and I'll defer to John on this, that the cost per foot for haul out at that point is going to change. Unless you can find someone else in the area that has an upland field that's willing to take it.
Well, based on what he just did, I mean, his track machine will easily haul. I mean, I run my 180 horse John Deere tractor up down Helene all the time with a 20-foot bush hog. That thing is solid. I even had Pulvers haul back through there with their triaxle trucks. So he'll be able to haul all that mud out with this, what do you call that machine, the turrets for the big tires?
Yeah, the one vehicle is what they call a Terragator, a three-wheeler, with a dump bed on it.
But you're saying,
It's limited, if you get into a soft area, you'll have to go to a track vehicle.
but this all need permits before he starts that?
No, because that is, I'd have to go back and look, whether there's any floodplain on that, I don't think, I'd have to look. That is wetland, which means that it has to be hauled one step,
But he can
which
do
you
this,
can do that.
he can do this without permits.
I'll have to look and see whether or not there's any floodplain in this area. As long as there's no floodplain in this area, And the excavating out isn't necessarily in a floodplain an issue as long as you take it to a non-floodplain area. And I know the field in the center is not floodplain, so any permitting would be pretty minor. It's just in this case, the two issues is the cost and what happens if that lane doesn't hold up. And most of all, the cost of $25,000 that we don't have.
Yeah, well, it'll be 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we need to see if, I guess we need to find out if you need to permit it. If we can find that out by the next meeting, and then we figure out it's a 2-3 year plan. Since we've been working on this for 8 years, we at least know another 3 years, maybe we get that part done, then we'll worry about the other part.
So it would take a rate increase to do that. Over a period.
So you have $47,000, $347,000 on your GDI. You're gonna have 2 reconstruction projects that should pay back next May, and then you have a significant reconstruction project that you have had a hearing on and committed to the landowners immediately thereafter. And you have 10 systems that have negative balance and other projects that, you know, I know I sound negative, I'm not meaning to sound negative.
You're just being straightforward.
Just being straightforward, trying to give you the best information so that you three can make a decision and not lead people, you know, no sense in leading things down the road if it's something you think that you can handle with the money and the funds that we have and 3 years of indebtedness. But I question how you're gonna handle that and then also consider reimbursement on part or all of the 47,000. If you get to that, now you're starting to look at $75,000 when you bring in less than $10,000 a year.
So the first issue right here is not gonna go forward with any type of reimbursement until, what I'm hearing, something's resolved on this permitting thing.
Whether it was required or
Whether it
not.
was required or not.
And if it was, then after the fact, obtain it.
That's something you guys can do, or is that something Randy needs to do, or?
That's not ours to do.
They would have to do it. They did the work, so.
So that's where we're at on that, legally?
Yeah, I mean, we've never done this before. I mean, if we had something like this, there was some sort of cost-sharing agreement beforehand, but
Anywhere else in the county, you guys had to do permits like this? Floodplains, flood zones? I mean, there's no other spot like this in the county you guys had to get permits for?
I got one on a tile project up in Wayne Township. I've gone through excavating on a drain between 2 lakes.
So you got all the contacts, know who to talk to.
So-
Then we get a permit on something in the past tense is probably, they're gonna say why, right?
Well, I'm concerned, that would be my thought, but
Is there penalties involved with this?
could be.
Wondered.
put it back the way it was.
Yeah, that's the other alternative. And sometimes they
You
say
could put it back the way it
restore
was.
That was long ago.
I just remember those meetings we had over the West Lakes up there and DNRs.
Well, we had one way back with, when we first came on, involving looters and
oh yeah.
there was work that
That
was
was
done,
the
we had to pay a
70s,
fine and all kinds of
The
stuff.
drainage board didn't approve that work.
Right.
The previous surveyor, okey-doked it, and Army Corps of Engineers walked in on that, and that was what, $70-some thousand fine plus remediation on the ground.
First council meeting I went to, I had to get the approval and have the check in the letter or the check in the mail by 3:30 that afternoon. And that was after them previously in the same position Representative Stutzman negotiated that down. It was much higher. EPA was running the neck on the chocolate block. That's correct.
Can't remember what that was, 10 maybe?
Well, I'm not, you know, I got to clear on the reimbursement, so that's fine. Let's just worry about where we can go from here forward to the project finished. Okay, take 47 off the books. How do we get John to get, if we gotta get permits, and how do we get John to finish the other 2 ditches over the next 5 years? Because we've been working this for 8 years, so we might as well make it a 13-year project.
Well, I guess just to finish up, to go to the west up here, Randy, what will that take to get the funding?
That right there is going to take $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay, and it's back that, do a rate increase for that watershed over X number of years, 3 years, 5 years, what?
When you're talking, what kind of money you're talking, it's something you three need to consider, you know. Because you're asking a lot out of the general drain improvement fund with all of the other commitments that we have. To continue on and hit $9,200.
So does the ditch have a negative now, or has it got a balance?
It has a balance of $2,191.50.
So 3 years, we'll collect, well, 30 grand. And you said, and he can go firm up his quote. If he's less than 30 grand, we got a 3-year plan.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that money is collected for the system itself, not just for one small area.
You still have tile upstream.
Still got tile, yeah.
But what else are we spending money on out there besides spraying?
What's that?
What else are we spending money on besides spraying out there?
We haven't gotten into any of the tile in the system.
Well, the only tile goes up towards,
But you have to get your main taken care of before you can deal with tile.
yeah.
Yeah, without an outlet, tile does no good, so.
What's the rate now?
We have a map that shows, but you can kind of see off the bottom,
The what?
you got tile that
Oh,
goes
yeah,
up
but
or south.
it's
You know
all
what it
plugged
is.
from,
You don't know what it is.
it's all plugged down there with sod. You gotta get that dipped out before you even think about fixing that tile.
Anita asked what other stuff we have in the system, and I tried to answer that.
But you're going to do that after that 3 years of dipping.
Speed, that's what it was. I don't know what it is now, but that's what it was.
There hadn't been a rating.
No, I think it stayed the same.
It's 850,
What's happening next?
and that's 675 on the other. There's 2 different.
One's 126,
We
one's 12.
we had, I
112,
don't think we
126.
changed the rate. We did have a hearing because the original hearing was for debrushing only. And then later on, I can't tell you the exact date, but we had a hearing to change it to include bottom dipping
Original was debrushing and beaver control.
and
And
beaver
we
control.
removed the dam, which that dam he got back there was almost 40 foot long. So we never did take
So
care
we
of
couldn't do
beavers.
any bottom dipping on the original hearing.
But we still have debrushing and beaver control and dam removal, right? That's still from that original meeting,
Well, yeah, that's in
so.
constant maintenance.
This is more stuff. So they paid both? No. First time it was done.
Oh, well,
This includes all of it.
Some of them back in 18 when there was no money being collected. That's when we had the meeting to start collecting all that.
Correct. Yeah, prior to that, ever since the drainage board took effect in 1965,
Right, there
there's
was
never
no,
been collections on this drain.
right.
I believe your father talked to the drainage board a few times, but it never went to an actual hearing.
Taxes.
And then their petition that
It wasn't like.
went to hearing at the beginning was to
Taxes.
just do the brushing, and then we changed it later to include bottom dipping.
Go back to my question again.
Okay,
What's the next step to? Do we have to do a rate increase to get the
Well,
funding? If it's not, it won't be there.
if you want my opinion on where we're at and where you ought to go, I would not recommend any further expenditure on to the west until at least half that money is there. You know, that gives time for the system to build up. Generally, that's what we do. We try to get these things so that, you know, we're not more than 2 years in debt. You know, let the system build up for a couple of years and then move ahead knowing that you're gonna go back in debt, but you're not gonna go deeply in debt. You're not putting burden on the GDI as bad when you got other projects going on. In the meantime, we can get through, make sure there's no permitting process on that. And then from there, on the other subject, you people can work on any permitting if you desire to talk to the drainage board about reimbursement on the area that's already been done. That would be left up to you guys.
How much are you estimating the other project would be 30,000?
This, you know, I had it up on the screen, but the one on the north, that project right there, which would start with 0 down on the west end, right on the east side, or right away of 500 West would go down to his crossing here. This would all have to be one step. It would be taken out to this field right here. That is approximately 2,650 feet. I estimated $25,000 to $30,000. That is if we don't run into a problem with blowing up that driveway and then having to go to the west and either put it on somebody else's property or drive all the way back around. And I can work with Mr. Sieber to make sure that that estimate is correct. I can't fathom that that is really low. So if you know you're facing that situation, an estimate is an estimate. It could be more, especially if you get into it and find out that that driveway blows up. But when you have the kind of funds that you have, I would recommend that you wait probably 2 years, look at it again. That's what my thought is.
Cause the other option is a rate increase. But you're still not gonna
That's
get it.
another option. If you do a rate increase, everybody comes to the table with it. I would ask that, well, you need to, if you're a bit, use the word uncomfortable, you could ask the petition be carried to get a certain percentage and brought to the office before we move ahead with a rate increase hearing. That way, you have an idea of what the landowners who are paying this bill feel about whether they're interested. Then you gotta look at, okay,
How many
typically I
acres?
come up with an amount that seems like the right thing to do, working with the
How many
landowner.
acres are in this
To go have the,
ballpark?
did you have the assessments? How many acres are in the watershed?
I think she had a copy of one of the assessments.
Yeah,
If you got one of the assessments, you can look at it. and tell you real quick. I'd say you're gonna have to at
Should be
least
on the
double or
last page,
triple
I think. Then make it work.
to make it work. I would
Here's
probably
another
do
one.
About 876. 72 parcels. And Nick, how many acres do you own? 150 or so?
What's that?
How many acres do you own? About 150 in that?
It's in,
Around that, yeah, well,
That's your watershed, by the
I
way.
had it on an Excel sheet.
There's 94, 134, 35.
So you take a long-term approach like this, 3 or 4 years, there's always possible, like you do reconstruction of a tile where everybody participates and gets X
Well,
amount, if you want it done sooner.
that's the other alternative.
I mean, if you
Why
want it
you
done
brought that
sooner.
up, the other alternative would be a reconstruction.
20% of it then.
I mean, if you get enough people and you want it done sooner,
finish up the
maybe
work,
you come up
everything,
with
and then have a hearing on
you get
that.
800 acres
And they
times,
have, up to 5 years to pay that
I don't know
off.
what, I don't know what that number would be per acre, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
Right now.
But then you have something, if somebody carries a petition and does the, if
I
you
mean,
wanna
usually
do
what he
it.
looks at is the current project and what the future projects are and.
Because you know how things go in 3 to 5 years, who knows what it's gonna cost, right, Mr. Seaver? I mean, it could go, the price of everything go up, or it could go down.
Everything's going up, so.
Yes.
Let the next generation go.
Yeah, you would, yeah.
It's not gonna get any cheaper, let's put it that way.
So that would be an option if you want it done quicker, right, Randy?
Well, I don't see a lot of the neighbors wanna do this, cause all the water runs downhill.
Okay.
So Eric, that tile area where you and Troy are, how much is that a problem for you guys right now?
That tile's all been replaced.
That's what?
That tile's all been replaced,
It's been replaced?
yeah. That's all new tile across Troyer, and none of my ground even has any tile on it, so.
When was that done?
Mm,
'Cause I don't think we have record of it.
Hmm?
I don't think we have record of it. I could be wrong.
oh yeah, it's all solid up through there, it goes in the open ditch there on Burdett's.
We'll look at it this afternoon. You have any idea dates, years?
Less than 8-10 years ago.
That's higher ground, so basically all the water ends up down on Nick.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
why-
the way this works is we're all so high, hardly nobody in the watershed has tile that just runs down the neck.
What's that, yeah,
So the north Pollock is not the priority, it's to finish the south one and get to that new tile we put in.
Yeah,
That needs to be priority, to get that water the hell out of there.
cause my property, there's no tile on it. And then Troyer's just runs through a low area. And it's all solid tile, so. He did that himself before we had this hearing.
What, in good faith, hold off for 2 years and
That'd be the best that I could offer. It's probably a recommendation to you.
unless they wanted to carry a petition and do something quicker, but that would be your two options, right?
Always carry a petition.
Can't change what we've got, the budget, or what we've got
No, you can't do anything different unless you have your,
unless we have.
And if Nick stood the cost of that last stretch, would you guarantee that you pay him?
Yeah, could you make a deal now, if Nick wants it done right away? If he covers it with all the proper permitting, would you guys just reimburse him over the next 3 years as you get the money in?
What's that ringing per year, Randy?
I mean, I don't know if that's what he wants.
9,200 and something.
Throwing that out there.
So in 2 years, you have $20,000.
It'd probably take about 5 years.
Right.
I mean, to not deplete it completely.
Well, no, if that's, it's
No,
up
I'm
to
fine,
Nick, if
I'm
that's
fine with that, I
what
just
he
want it
wants.
done. But we need to find out, number one, is Randy okay, John finishing just the south branch over to the tile? No permission required,
That's a cost estimate I haven't given you.
and we need to get that for the next meeting.
How many feet is that? Ballpark.
Looks like 2,900 feet roughly. And it looks like close to 2,000 of that is in wetlands, so you're gonna be talking, probably similar costs again to do that as the one I already gave you. That time you figure do one step. You're gonna have 25 to 30 in each one.
Well, it'd be less, because you're talking 2,000 foot of haul out.
So there's 20,000.
Yeah.
Plus the remaining, so it could be less. But not considerably less. Plus, you don't have a drive down through there like you have on the north. That's all pretty mushy. Once you get west of where we stopped. So haul out's gonna become more challenging. Now, you do have, is it Burdette? That's on the south and west side, if he's agreeable to take the spoils from that. If you gotta haul it back to the center, your cost per foot's probably gonna be higher. The interrogator's not gonna work in there. That's gonna have to be the track machine. You'll sink you get it back into this area right here, right in that area, you'll sink that interrogator.
Yeah.
It'll never hold up.
I have to agree with that, yeah.
So at that point, your $10 probably goes up more because you can only take 3 scoops on the track machine. And then that becomes challenging because the more and more times you go over that same area, it starts to break down and fall apart. So I don't think the 25 to 30,000 is probably far off of that. So at that point, because you both branches, you got,
Some of the areas you got 75-foot right of way, so you can,
you constantly have to be moving around. You can't take the same track or you won't last at all. That's
Right.
figuring that in. You're probably at best, if you combine the 2 projects together, on a really good day, you're 45,000. And on a not so good day, you're probably more likely in the $55,000, $60,000.
So-
Bringing in less than $10,000.
So somebody privately funding this, and then the county making pay, is that something that can even be done?
We could do an agreement on cost sharing or however we do it, yeah, we can do that.
I mean, I know that it brings in $9,000 a year, but you wouldn't want to give it all up, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 a year.
Right. because
So you have
need to
some, got other stuff to do.
Yep.
I mean, again, and just in an effort to get it done quicker for you guys. Are we gonna charge them 10% like we charge them? No, I'm just teasing now, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing, don't shoot me. I'm just saying, if maybe that's an option, if they fund it, if we haven't, I just should know if that's something the county would do, or maybe it could be 5 or 6 years. You know,
I mean, we can draw up anything that is agreed to, whether it's a cost sharing or Nick pays all of it, then you reimburse him so much a year until he's paid back in full.
I mean, that's
I
something
mean,
you
you
guys
guys
might
have to
consider.
decide.
Now, I'll consider it on the south branch, that north branch, that ditch is bone dry, they don't cause nobody any problems.
Okay, what,
That's, it's bone dry yesterday.
yeah, the one we've been talking about
So-
previously, that one that was up
Get
there,
the
that
south one
$30,000.
And if
I
it's
mean,
5
what
or
do you
6,
think of that, Randy? I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, 5 or 7 years, I don't care.
I mean, you think that's an option, Randy? For them to privately fund it, and we come up with an agreement and $5,000-6,000 a year?
That's gonna be,
We can do it, I mean, just as long as we have, everybody's agreeing.
you're gonna have to consider it to an extent to be a unique situation
Right.
because this is not the first time
Right.
that you have had folks come in and want to do this type of thing. It's been a general consensus not to.
Is that something you guys would
The
consider?
problem I see is, there's a procedure as far as when you have a maintenance project, how that's to be done, notice to all the landowners and everybody
Because this
has
is their
the
funds too.
opportunity to come in.
No, that's what, I agree with that, I understand that, that's why I'm saying we don't do the whole $9,000 every year, because there's gonna be other stuff to be maintained and debrushed. Maybe it's at $5,000 or $6,000 a year,
Because
I don't know,
because we
just
don't want
thinking out
people-
loud.
In a regulated drain, doing work that we're not aware of.
So, if that's an option, maybe that's something we should consider, just in an effort to get this done in the next year or two. I mean, I would be in agreement to that.
Which is not popular.
I mean, we can't, if we don't have the funds, we don't have the funds. I mean, we can't, but if we can do something like that,
Well, without rate increase, I mean, that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's doable for Nick, I mean, if you wanna go that route to do maybe draft something. If you wanna get it done as soon as possible, you know, to go that way.
Mr. Seaver, would you be able to get a quote, or is this something, there's too many unknowns to do that?
Well, I'd wanna walk the project and see
Well,
what
I'm
type
not
of
talking
terrain
about
we've
today
got
by
there.
any means, but is that something you could do, that we enter into the agreement spelling out a specific amount and?
I could inspect the site and see
Okay.
what.
And maybe we'll take care of the permitting. Would we do that, take care of if permits are required, would they take care of that for them?
That's up to the board.
I mean, I think we should take care of the permitting. You get your quote together.
Well, I don't have
Then you
a
see
problem,
if it's
yeah,
doable.
beforehand, something like that we can probably do.
So I'm okay with that. If that's what you wanna try.
No, that works on the south branch, but I'm only gonna pay from what's on my property line. I'm not, once it turns and goes on Troy or Burdette, that's not my problem. And that's a deep ditch once you get up low ways, I mean, that's real deep.
But we're talking about for this
Now you
funding
have an
project.
So they're
Because
It's all downhill.
They're high and dry.
They're high.
I'm not on board with that without a petition or something that the other, and no offense to you folks, I get it, but you're talking about using money that belongs to that system and there's other people involved. And I don't think, in all fairness, we can
Like I
just
said,
sit here
usually
and
when you
say
have
we're
a
gonna
maintenance
do.
project, there's notice given to everybody in
Right.
the watershed, so.
That happens all the time, but money gets spent on one area,
Right,
I'm 2 miles away and I'm paying into it, but I don't get any.
But you have the right to come to a hearing on it and express your viewpoint.
yeah,
We haven't had that.
We
So
haven't
that
had
happens all the time.
yeah.
Well, and then on top of that, if Nick were funding the entire situation, everybody's in the room that's involved. But now I'm hearing that he would not be funding the entire situation, so you're gonna have to bring these other landowners in that are gonna be making payment and not get reimbursed until down the road, and then of course the reimbursement's gonna have to be figured on a percentage.
Well, they're all making payments today in our taxes, everybody
I
has
like
paid.
men up front doing the work.
Yeah, but I don't know, them guys are gonna care about that little section there, cause that's awful high. I mean, that picture don't show the true picture.
Yeah, if Nick does everything on his side, that's gonna take care of everybody else. Nick's the only one getting flooded.
And that goes unsaid. When you just look at a map like this,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm following what Anita's saying, it looks like everybody should share. But when you look at the elevation, and we're not,
Right.
you go back to what Eric just said. You fix the problem. He's made that, both of them made them comments. If you don't fix the main problem, you can fix all the other stuff and it doesn't do anything.
I think it's important to go backwards first and fix anything that might not have been done maybe correctly, checking on the permit situation,
Well, they said they're okay with that.
before moving forward.
I'm not doing that, and I don't
He's
care
good.
about 47,000, so I'm not going backwards,
No.
somebody should have told us ahead of time that had to be done, nobody mentioned anything.
This was discussed so in depth on a plan to do something down there and nothing happened. And nothing would happen now.
So.
On any of that, except collecting the $99,000 a year.
The permitting process was discussed in the March 11, 2024 minutes.
And what, did anybody do anything?
It wasn't our responsibility if you read the minutes.
It doesn't
We
seem like
weren't
a team
involved
effort.
with that project. That was a privately handled project, it was privately funded, I was never on site. So I
So it's off the table.
take offense to, anything about, because you were informed at the meeting that there was potential permitting required for that project. Now, it's not the responsibility of the drainage board, nor is it the responsibility of my office to do that.
Well, that's past
Project
trend,
was
so
not
I want to know about this day forward.
So I wanna go back to the first little project we saw for $25,000-$30,000, that's what I was talking about. Now, Were you privately funded? Are we not doing that now? That's not an option?
And they said they're not interested in doing that.
Okay, I mean, to where then we would make payments to whoever privately funded. Okay, that's
Now
not
they're
an
gonna
option.
switch it over on the south branch.
A lot of stuff, man, just getting confused here, okay.
Because the south branch is the problem. That's what's gonna get all this water moving out here. The north branch is dry.
Okay. What were we talking about, Randy? Go back to the one where, the first one for $25,000 or $30,000. This, I mean, you know.
Over by the
You can see
cabin.
both on this screen right here. That was from here
Right.
to here.
And that's dry.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't need to do that,
They've
right?
decided they don't want, they did wanna do it a
Okay.
little bit ago, now they don't wanna do it, but they
No, I
wanna
said
come
they
down
both gotta
here
be done.
and start here and go up. But if I'm hearing Mr. Bushy right, he's willing to pay, but only on his portion of the property. So are you looking to bottom dip just this and not finish the rest of the open, or what is the plan of the drainage board? If the drainage board, my office is involved, I need direction on what you want.
Where does that, how far does that go then?
Nick, can you show us where your property line ends?
Down to this location right here,
Okay.
that's where the tile
No,
begins.
mine stops right here. No, there's a private ditch that goes all the way to the road. So when John comes down here, because don't forget, we gotta put a culvert in here. So I guess I'll have to bear the cost for putting a culvert in and dip this, but once he turns, he can't come back on me. There's no need to put another culvert in here. This is all high ground. They can just haul this crap right out here and put it on Berdetti if he's okay with it. Cause he'll be able to come in from this road, but once he turns, I can't get him over here. There's no possible way.
But what part are you wanting, what are you
Just from
willing to
his
pay
corner
for? Just to
To
that,
here, where we already cleaned it, I guess we gotta go clear up here to high ground, we gotta go from here to here, so we're talking
You're
1,600.
1,600 feet, so you're now talking.
So we're talking 20 grand
16 to 20,000.
plus a culvert, for him to get this all opened up. This here's already been mowed, I mean, Troyer's farming this, put a fence up, passing his horses down here. I mean, this is all opened up, this guy here that just bought this piece has fenced that in. I mean, what used to be water is pasture now. So we just
Do you
got,
own south of that drain?
I own south of what?
The drain we're looking to clean, you own south of there?
No,
No, why would we need the culvert?
he's gotta get out, you can't get that, there's a ditch that comes
Well,
in
there's a
through there.
branch going north.
So you need to put something in there temporary just to haul this stuff out,
Yeah.
and then it'd get removed.
Well, it's my ditch, if
Unless
you're gonna
you-
put it in, we'll leave it there.
Okay,
I'm sure down the road, maybe not in our lifetime, somebody else is gonna deal with this.
We'll want to be able to access that.
Yeah.
okay.
So you know
Now
for
you're
sure,
talking 1,600 lineal feet, and you're talking $16,000 to $20,000 project. And that would be all on your property. And now would be a matter of whether you want to fund that in whole or in part with the drainage board, or you want the landowner to fund it with an agreement to pay him back, or whatever you three decide you want to do. Then Denny and I need to know so that he can draw up an agreement, and I know how to move forward
And you
from
would,
that standpoint. Do you anticipate a big change in dollar amounts, or do you need to look at that before?
Well, I definitely want to walk it.
Okay, so subject to some change.
Well, what you're saying, Nick, where your property ends right here, where yours goes
no,
south.
my property goes over the road.
As far as a regulated drain.
Yeah, the regular drain stops about halfway in that field.
Okay, but from going south, that flows, that's open, right?
It goes uphill pretty quick.
So the options to do that, I just want, so we can get this taken care of maybe. Take a couple of years, save up the dough from the normal
Collection.
collection. Or somebody, it's an option, privately funded, and we come up with an agreement and pay you back so much.
Over 5 years.
I mean, are those our options right now?
Or petition for a rate increase.
I guess,
That can be added in too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or you borrow it out of the general fund. But
We got
if
some
it's any kind
annual
of
projects
that
leaning on
money,
that now.
It's
And I guess
tied up.
Just for the sake of an argument, moving forwards on it, to get the end of it taken care of on your property, Nick. We can come up with a legal agreement, you pay for it to get it done, John gets it done, whoever. And we take the 45 years to pay it back.
Do that, and as far as I know, is there gonna be permitting?
If the drainage board's gonna enter into it, I would believe you would want our office to do the permitting
Yes.
Right,
process.
I would.
Doable, Nick?
but the permit isn't needed if it goes back to the big field on Nick. That's not,
Say what? You lost me.
if you're doing one step, and you haul it to the big field there on
The center field, the circle field,
that's not floodway, it's not floodplain.
I don't believe it is, I don't have the information in front of me, but it would be the responsibility of our office
Doesn't
to
require permit.
obtain any permits. If they enter into agreement, they'll have to have a motion to do this. In the meantime, I can check on permitting, you can check on costs.
Yeah, and I
And
would,
then,
I would need the exact distance that you put in your quote, so we know that. And then as far as how it's gonna be reimbursed over how many years? If it's, say, 20,000, 5,000 a year,
Yeah, I don't think you wanna deplete the whole $9,000, so you,
No.
so, yeah,
I
$5,000 a
don't
year,
feel
The other
like
work
you
they
can
gotta
do
do.
contracts, right,
because there's gonna be some other work, so $5,000 a year.
we'll, yeah,
Or up to,
up to 5.
because you won't know about the collection and what else is needed.
Okay, so that's where we're at then.
And it's not that I don't wanna be proactive with you folks, but we have to be careful also, because it's not the only thing in the system.
So,
Want to do a motion on that?
okay, to go forward with the privately funded. Okay, I make a motion for the Pollock Drain, that we go forward with possibly the privately funded project that Nick and Mr. Seaver are gonna come up with the number. We're gonna come up with an agreement for reimbursement over 4 or 5 years. I'm just saying, making a motion to go forward with that, if everyone's in agreement.
Would we want to state the Pollock ditch number 112 and the number 126 of the Pollock watershed system as part of that? To make sure we have, no offense to you, just
No,
to make sure.
no. I ain't no Pollock, man.
You're talking the one
Well, that's all we're
twenty-six.
discussing,
Okay,
so
the
I have no
Pollock, so you
problem with
wanna
that.
name
Yeah,
it
he says-
126
Pollock 126,
of the Pollock watershed system.
yes.
112 and 126.
There you
I
go.
assume it's,
126 is
is
where
this
the
the
work's
one where
being
this
done.
will be? Probably 126, okay.
Make a motion that we go forward with that and see how it all plays out.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you'll check
we
on
can
the
skip lunch.
permitting, you'll check on the costs, get that to me and I'll get something on this.
Yep, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe just skip lunch and have Zach come in. Okay, this
So will
one, I'm
we
not gonna
ever-
use Mafia anymore.
Will we ever know about the permitting?
Of the other?
I just say don't, it's
No,
their
that's-
stuff. Done,
No,
That's right.
that's them.
leave it go.
That's right.
Right.
No, that's them.
Yeah, I
I mean,
just,
if somebody finds out and comes back after them,
So we don't have any liability because we're doing anything in connection with them?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, this was done last year or this year earlier. and
So how does that happen if you go backwards and you didn't get permitting? Are you ever gonna clean the slate?
You could go back and get permits still.
But there'd be penalties, I would think. Are they good? Choose to pay.
It depends if it,
look who you get.
if IDAM, EPA become aware of these things?
Because that's when he.
I know it was in notes from that meeting, cause I remember looking back.
You know the scary part? This meeting was live.
Well, yeah, that's true, let's just see what happens, so, I mean, that's something that
That's not our concern.
Okay, moving on to the next item. Next item, there was a reconstruction hearing, just kind of recapping back. We had before on the Cooney 417, branch 1, and also part of the Builder 380, branch 14. There were your balances, and the petition was withdrawn. Today, there is a balance in the Builder Fund. Annual collections, we have almost 184,000. We have a number of other projects that we're working on in there. We have a collection of $94,000 per year. We have an agreement with landowners for, part of the withdrawal was that through entering into this agreement, and I think there was 2 of them, it was either 2 or 3 that had to be redone. Minor changes, they've been done.
I think there was
signed them.
actually just one, wasn't there?
We had to give you proof of the
The
death
death
of
of,
Nemus Mark,
right,
and then the other one had to be converted
changed
to
to the trust,
trustee of the
right.
land estate.
We have those, I've signed them, here he's yet to sign, he's gonna sign that in some variants either later today or tomorrow morning. So that's kind of where we're at. We have put together plans, moving forward. We'll put later, I'll show you the projects that we're gonna be doing in the fall. Quote opening, and that will be a part of it. There is the watershed, it's the area shown in red that we were talking about on reconstruction also, whether it's maintenance or reconstruction, that's it. Obviously, the funds come from within the Builder watershed on that. There is the tile, this is the project. The understanding was that we have 8-inch functioning tile. Down below, here's the property line between Jamaj on the east and Emminger on the west. Thank you, I apologize for that. The Emminger property line comes over to here, and then it is Isaac Stone Oblinger and his wife have this small portion, and then it goes over onto the True Love property. So at this point in time, we put together a project to come up here. Been working with Mr. Emminger. He has a concrete driveway over the top of our regulated drain. If it can be saved, if the tile underneath the drain is okay, then we will, if it has to be cleaned out, it's short enough distance, we can clean it out. We can bring the new tile up to the east side of the driveway, connect it on, pick it up on the west side, take it on up to the finish of the project on the north side of 400. That way, Mr. Emminger does not have to have the cost of boring underneath the driveway for the 8-inch tile. The other driveway will open cut and then backfill with stone material so that in the end it comes out. It may be a little bumpy for a while until it settles, but it will be back to the normal condition that it was in prior to the project. As I stated, this will be quoted out the fall project, both for materials, stone. We'll completely bed that in stone, this way we do all of our tile, and it will be a dual wall 8-inch tile. Moving on, more recently been made aware of, and I want to make the drainage board aware of, that without the knowledge of my office or the drainage board, it appears as though the area shaded in yellow has been replaced on the regulated drain without our knowledge. There's a show of the humped up dirt and the weeds that have been put in there. This is in a portion, it looks like about, they didn't measure, but about 250 feet of this portion of the 8-inch tile that's been replaced. I assume, since the landowner's here today, that he can enlighten us on what's going on in that location.
So. We checked that standpipe between the Emmingers and Jamaj to see how deep that tie-in was, because it wasn't draining over on True Love. And they discovered that there was still an old clay tile coming to that standpipe, and the 8-inch wasn't up there. So we had Griffiths come in and tie into the 8-inch that went down into that detention pond and bring it up to the standpipe. And we were told here in several meetings ago, that should be in the minutes, I was asked, okay, what if that tile doesn't work? And I told the commissioners and I told the surveyor and the attorney, we will fix it. And that's what we did. It's an 8-inch tile, solid. So it's waiting for the 8-inch coming from True Love across.
I assume that was bedded in stone.
No, it was put in just the way it had been. And that's the way that, all that tile that was put in 1998 was put in. And Griffiths put it in, they're a very reputable contractor and is ready to accept the 8-inch.
I guess I'm really confused because I thought you folks said over and over again that it drained well, you just needed it fixed beyond that.
Yes,
So
And-
what happened?
well, there was a plug up on the True Love property and it wasn't coming down through. So Geronimo,
It just happened or?
no, this has been going on and it drained for a while and then it didn't. But after the crops went in and came up, Geronimo came to me and he said, would you mind if we dug at that standpipe to see if there's a plug at that standpipe? I said, no. I talked to Craig, he said, that's fine. So, party came out, did the excavating, we discovered that there wasn't an 8-inch hooked into that standpipe, it was the old tile. So we took our 8-inch on up to that standpipe.
This is despite the despite the drawings that Randy has, that we have, that you've seen, that shows the 8-inch connected, so nobody would know that it wasn't until Griffiths got in and,
So it's exactly
Do we know what's going on below this area?
below that detention pond?
Below the area highlighted, which is approximately the location that's been replaced this spring without our involvement. Do
Well,
we know what's going on
Yes.
downstream from there?
there's a standpipe right there, Randy, that carries that water very well, and it's carried it very well in the last 3 5-inch rains that have come in that area. It drains well, that tile also turns and goes up to 400 and picks up drainage north of 400 on the property that is owned by Inlow. So what we did is made sure that that was a good tile from that standpipe tying into what goes down into that detention pond, and we'll carry it right on through. And that's all in sync with explaining to this board at least once, if not several times, if there's a problem, we will fix it. And we paid for it.
You signed a contract to that effect, right?
Pardon?
That was the whole contract that you signed, right? If there's a problem, you gotta fix it.
We'll fix it. And we talked about that verbally here. I mean, Gary Leatherman asked me, he said, well, Bob, what if we do this and it doesn't work? And I told you in the public meeting, we will take care of it, and we did. Craig was there and saw the work being done. It's gonna accept whatever you bring over from True Law.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question. Isn't there any notification that needs to be done on this when that happens?
All work was done within a regulated drain should be notify our office as an agent of your board.
But we were told that that work was done without the surveyor's office knowledge back in '98.
Right, and that was incorrect. The same way as the work this spring or summer was incorrect.
No, let me back up and repeat what I said. You said that that work was done without approval from the surveyor's office in 1998, correct?
That is correct.
And that's correct. So, when we said we would fix any problem, and they dug out that standpipe and realized there was a problem, we fixed it.
That's like saying 2 wrongs make a right.
No, we did exactly what we told this board at that time. We would fix
I
any
think it was
problem.
explained to you that no work is to be done in a regulated drain without notification to, I've had meetings with you and discussed that no work is to be done in a regulated drain without notification to the drainage board.
I'm not aware of
No.
that. No.
We talked about this all the way back from the beginning of this whole situation.
No,
My daughter was there and so was my son at the original meeting. That was never brought up, Randy. The only
That
thing you
was the
can
whole
take,
idea of the 1998, that none of that work was, otherwise we'd have said, this is to be bedded in stone.
No.
This tile does not meet manufacturer specification.
Randy, that's just not accurate, and I'm gonna take
I'm
issue
gonna
with
tell
it.
you right now, you go to the manufacturer then. I'm
No.
gonna tell you what I've learned from the manufacturer.
I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to you telling us that we couldn't repair that if it needed repaired. And you never, in any meeting that we attended, because we had, my daughter was there, my son was there at the first meeting, and others have been here. If it was not right, we would fix it. I told this board that, I told you that, and
Well, I
we didn't.
believe that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean fix it without notification to the board.
Okay, it was never notified to begin with, and you criticized us for it then. Why we would have to notify you to fix it was never told that we had to notify you. How do people fix main drains like this with their own backhoe and put back in tile or plastic, as opposed to
They're
calling?
supposed to be notified. Anytime you work
It's in
on
a
or
regulated
connect to
drain.
a regulated drain, you give notice to the drainage board. The county surveyor's office is an agent and a representative to the drainage board.
Okay, that may
That's
be the
state
rules,
statute.
but they're not enforced because there are people on this drain that fix it themselves because,
We
They
try
can't
to
wait on
enforce
the
things the
county.
best that we can.
right?
I've
So
got
Randy,
900 miles of regulated drains.
isn't this just a technicality, okay? In other words, they've already signed let's just get on with this. They've already signed a contract that they're gonna repair
I'm not
everything.
saying not to, I'm just saying that
I
I
mean,
needed to make
I
the
know-
board aware.
But this is a unique situation, it has been from the onslaught, so to speak, because the Soil and Water Conservation District was involved.
Well, the
And
thing
I
is,
think it was done in
thing
good
is, though,
faith.
we need to make sure that they put it in properly, that's the thing, and then usually if he's notified, he'd have somebody out there to
We
inspect the
would,
work.
we would take great shots
That's the
on it, we
reason.
would make sure stone was put in, that it was bedded properly, everything was done. We don't know that.
Here's what I'm gonna say in their defense. I just spent $12,000 on 10-inch tile across my place. I'm telling you, they didn't put it in stone. You don't see a lot of that. Maybe the county does that, and maybe some other people do that, but I'm saying typically, when a person puts in drain tile, they don't embed it in stone. I mean, I had a wheel come in, I spent 12 grand, it wasn't that much, but they just put it in soil. They don't put it in stone, and most of these wheels that you see in this pattern tiling, there's a lot of it. In other words, we can argue this until the cows come home,
You're missing my point,
Look,
I'm not wanting to argue, I'm not wanting
But-
to. I am here as a professional to bring this information to the board. What the board decides to do with it is your decision.
so
So
my
if
thoughts.
you don't want me to bring this to the board, I want it on record that you do not want
Okay,
information brought to you.
then, for the record, I'm okay with this, mainly, these people have already went through quite a process and signed a contract, saying they're liable, so to speak, for all of that tile that we're not replacing, is that right?
Do we need a motion or something or any information about this or not?
You discussed it, it's in the record, so.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
I just don't want it occurring throughout the county. People decide, oh, I got a problem here, rather than reporting it, even if they're gonna pay for it themselves, it still needs to be done to our standards, not inadequate standards, so. I mean, we can't change it, it's done now, so. But just in the future, you need to get permission so they can come out.
And I have no argument with that. We were never told that in these meetings. Think back to the meetings and our discussions. And we said, look,
Well,
but I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here as someone that has paid taxes, as a landowner, we've talked this back and forth all the way through. We fixed the tile like we said we would do in this public meeting. If there's a problem, we'll fix it. And that's where we left it. No one said at that point, if you fix it, whether it's 1 foot or 240 feet, you gotta go get a permit and get the,
well, not get a permit.
I mean, or have.
Just transparency, I think, is really important for
Right.
anything in regards to this. You folks have really, come before us with a lot of homework, and you seem to have a really good knowledge of of how this all works and how it drains. So I'll be honest with you, I'm just shocked to hear this today, that there wasn't a phone call go, hey, we said it all drained well, we've been saying adamantly that it drained well, but hey, we found a hiccup and this is what we're gonna do. And then at that point, then it could have been told that, you really need to line it with some stones. So I guess I'm just flabbergasted, I guess is the best way to say it. And I'm not trying to be mean about it, I'm just saying, you've done your homework, you brought people in, you've done a lot of it, but to do it at the very end here in a way that doesn't feel right, it just seems like, wow, why would you do that?
Well, Anita, it feels right to us because that's what we told you we would do. If something was wrong, we would fix it. No one at that point said, okay, if you fix anything,
But you're tying into something though that belongs to the
we're tying into our
county.
own. And it goes right up to that drain standpipe where we tie in with the new construction. That's my point. I agree in transparency too, believe me. I understand where you're at. But to be transparent, the taxpayer or the landowner has to understand the rules of the road. We don't have time to go look up the ordinances and the whys and the wherefores. Just a courtesy letter that would have said, look, if you do any repairs, Bob and Jamaj, make sure you check with Randy. I didn't know that. It's like in the banking business. If you try something with a document that's not right and we haven't told you, whose fault is that? That's ours.
I believe you were knowledgeable. It's
I
not dependent on me that you were knowledgeable. Also, it's not your drain, it is the system's drain.
Right.
These regulated drains are owned by the watershed system.
Right.
The watershed is taken care of by the county drainage board.
Well, let me say this.
Those are facts, those can be looked up, they are in the state statute.
I don't agree with your statement that you think we were knowledgeable. I'm
And you don't
telling you
agree with-
publicly.
I don't agree with yours,
recorded.
you don't agree with mine.
Correct. We agree to disagree.
And that's right.
And if I knew that we had to contact you and get permission or have someone out there, we would have done it. It had to be repaired. So we took care of it.
And it was indicated at a meeting that we attended that landowners can make improvements or corrections to the tiles that are on their land.
No.
The private tile.
Private tile, but not regulated drain. So,
And maybe that's where the confusion came. When you say tile,
Yeah.
we don't know all the distinctions. So I'm telling
We
you,
strictly deal with regulated drains.
Yeah,
That's all
I'm
this
sure you
board
do.
deals with.
but my point is, if you're talking transparency, we have to understand your vernacular. And what we
This
understood was if there's a
all came
problem,
about because of a 1998 soil and water conservation project that had got no permission, and I explained to you the issue. Now, if it was wrong then, it's been wrong since probably long before the drainage code, but 65, and it would be wrong today. I don't think you can take all the discussions that we had concerning everything that's taken place and say, that was all incorrect. But us going in at this point is okay, because we said in a meeting that we would be responsible for work if there was an issue.
Right.
I don't think the board, I certainly didn't, and I can't fathom that the drainage board understood that, to where the landowner could go in without any notification and make repairs to a regulated drain. Possibly a court would look at that different, I'll defer to Denny. But I can't fathom how that would be, you could move from one to the other.
I think this is all nonsense, that we're scolding these adults over something like this,
I'm not
okay?
scolding anything.
I mean, it's contentious stuff, okay? I agree, we could be more polite and positive. Hey Bob, if you do it again, man, you need to get permission,
now we understand.
okay? We can be more helpful than contentious. I say, let's just get on with it.
Then talk to your two counterparts, not me.
I think it's nonsense. We're scolding adults over
I've
something
got
we're
this
having an
screen ready
argument
for
for 10
the
minutes.
next.
Something like this.
I'm not arguing with them, I just,
Let's
it shows
just-
the fact that I was shocked.
Let's
Because
just,
they've been so careful about all their homework.
well, but it's, hey. And on top of this, they have a contract to repair anything if he did it wrong.
Right.
So, all right, hey Bob, If you guys do any more work like that again, will you contact Randy?
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next item, current watershed. We have the Gloucester drain. This is in the area of the east part of the county at, between Avila and Kendallville. It's a bank stabilization project. We're trying to put together a project. We have a regulated drain that comes from the county line. Gloucester system goes all the way up. You remember right, crosses 1,000 East. We put in a large tile up there. We have the lash ditch number 211 that we're working with 2 landowners on a project for replacement on that. We have some erosion in both of these areas, north and south of Weimer Road. So as part of this fall project, we're working on that. Moving on to the future projects, just quickly going down through, I knew this would probably be a long meeting. As you saw, the Gloucester ditch project that I just brought up, along with the Halfordy ditch. This would be in the area of State Road 8, both north and south, mainly south of State Road 8, out between 400 and 500 east, where the new box structure was put in underneath State Road 8. Bilger 380 would be down in the area of 900 east and 400 south. We got some rather deep ditch down through there that has an outlet for a tile that we're working on. We're working up plans on that and some work on the Falk ditch. Moving on to the main other item would be our tile projects. As I brought up just a few minutes ago and alluded to, we have the Lash 211. This is in the area of 300 north on the East County line. It crosses the Jeff and Monty Van Gessel property and the Brian and Linda, I think it is, Fortman property. We have the Cooney that we've been discussing here. We have a Hardendorf, a number 113 branch 4, out just upstream of Skinner Lake, east of 150 east. We have the Schwab tile up in the northwest part, up in Elkhart Township, that's in branch 4, and the Wilkinson down in Swan Township. The spray program is all done. You can see the numbers of everything. I'm just beginning to go around and start assessing the outcome because it's been long enough. Some of the ditches were done early on, and from what I've seen, we got a good kill. Not everything got it, but we did get a very good kill on this. Looking forward to the 2026 spray program. That will be the entire east side of the county, wanting to designate those ditches so we can get a letter out to the landowner encouraging them to leave a 10 to 12 foot wide strip along the drain with grass so that we do not have to affect crops during the height of the season. Soybeans not so bad, it's just basically where the tracks are, but it wipes out corn. I mean, there's just no way. Corn's up too high. By the time we go through, there's not much hope for that. So yeah, it's an education process. Stormwater, I have one more ag, a larger ag parcel that I'm working on permitting. Got a couple about last week. I have 2 that have issues. A third one, everything's fine except for the site just has soil conditions, but we have Fox contractors and they're working very heavily on that, trying to finish it up this week. Working with the state and LTAP on the storm project. Down here on some of this stuff. Got a hold of LTAP as part of the questions that came up at the last meeting. There was a question on permitting as far as that. I went back and looked at it. I also talked to the people at the state, and what that involves is, and it says right on here, financial surety. So if you have a financial surety, or you put a bond and say they are required to have a bond for the work that's being done, then it can't be any more excessive than what the state is. I don't believe in any of the close to 30 years that we've been doing that there's been any bonds. I know for a fact that over the last 12 years, there's been no bonds required work done on storm drainage.
I've looked into that. Would you like me to you know, I was wrong, the permitting fee wasn't $125, it's $175.
Yeah, and it's not applicable to 1037.
It's the initial permit. Now, we don't have to discuss this right now if you don't want to, Randy.
No, I'm just bringing up a couple of points
Well,
just to
but
clarify
we
what
still
you
have a
said.
law that we have to follow. And we don't have to discuss that right now. I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
I mean, we
If
can
you
do,
want to
but you know
stop
what,
down
it's
to my
1 o'clock,
office,
I'm
it's
saying we
almost
just,
1 o'clock.
I don't need to go to lunch, we can keep going, but I mean, however you wanna do this. I mean, so our fees, the state fee is $175, we'll just get into that first, okay? Just real
Okay,
quick.
the regulation of 1037 has nothing to do
I've
with
got a copy of
fees.
it,
I have it
I'm
right
just
here.
saying the initial permit, $175.
Time out.
I'm,
We're running over already. We've got things at 1 o'clock.
well,
I'm not going to discuss storm water erosion today.
Thank you.
I have one question for Randy. Well, we can do it then.
Moving on,
Hey Randy, just a minute.
Beaver are,
I don't have a right to discuss this?
that's the Chairman.
No, not storm water erosion.
We're gonna do it next, at the next meeting, because there are some questions I have, and we do have a law we have to follow.
You need to give me the questions so that I can look at them ahead of time.
I'll have them for you when you, show up, I'm not, you know. We'll
I'm
discuss it
not,
next
we're
week.
not addressing it unless you give me the question ahead
Well,
of
my
time.
question is this, Randy, just real quick, okay? One question. I won't discuss the actual ordinance, okay? I mean, by the way you're disrupting all this, by the way you're fighting all this, and a comment that you made when I said it was $125, okay? I'll give you my question, you can think about it. Do you, or any company that you associate with, you receive any compensation above and beyond your regular salary to review these permits? Or
What
to,
was your question?
do you receive any additional compensation? I mean, you made a statement, I won't do it for that, meaning $125, review these plans. When
I
said-
have a salary from the county to take care of stormwater and to take care
You
of,
don't get any
of the
additional
regulations.
compensation?
nobody outside pays me anything other than the county.
Any, no, because I got some 1099s from 2022. That's gonna be my question, Randy.
Okay,
You wanna
provide
discuss it now,
1099s that, I didn't say that I don't do other work outside of the county.
But you don't get any
I
additional
do not do any
compensation or
stormwater work
consideration.
outside of the county.
I'm just wondering if there's a conflict of interest here, because you wanna keep
I think
this.
you're trying to make accusations that you cannot back up, sir, and I would ask the chairman to move on.
Well, I got 1099s here.
Okay, well then provide them to the chairman. That's
So you're
what I-
saying, just for the record,
Just for the record,
you
you
don't
have not
receive-
provided any evidence and you're making accusations.
you don't receive any
There
additional
is.
compensation or consideration, or any organizations you might be associated with
For what?
to review stormwater plans,
No.
permits, or supervision of that?
No.
No, okay. I mean, you made the comment, I won't do it for that. And just to kind of make.
Those are two totally separate, out of context situations. If you'd like to discuss those,
Well, we'll
set
do it
up
in the
an
next
appointment to
meeting.
my office, we'll talk
And I will
about
do
it.
it in public so people can hear it.
There were no additional beaver in the last 2 weeks. Variances, you have 3. I'll start passing them down. The first one is Ligtel. This is a situation, it's an after the fact. This is the Halferty that we just talked about, bottom dipping. Earlier this year, the state replaced the culvert underneath 8 at the Halferty and put in a block structure. And they severed, to the best of my knowledge, they severed the line. If you drive by there on the south side, you'll see 2 wires coming up and a makeshift box. That is a Ligtel line. That did not have a variance. It was already in, so there needs to be a variance given. They need to put that line back in. I would make a recommendation, your variance be 5 foot below the flow line of the Halford be drained when they put it in. It should be noted that that was done without, the original line without any permitting process.
So you know how deep it is now then?
Yeah, it's sitting on top of the box.
Not 5 feet.
Because Brooks hit it when they excavated for the box and they were not anywhere near 5 feet deep.
So I make a motion that we approve this variance for Lichtel to put their cable at least 5 feet under the flow line of the Haverty ditch, number 120.
Even though it's not.
That's after the fact. I'll second.
Okay, we have motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the second one is for Northern Indiana Public Service or NIPSCO. This is a bit unusual, but it I believe can be handled this way. This is on the Elmer Dittmer drain. And the reason why I say it's a bit unusual is it's kind of hard to see, but this drain coming off, this is down south of Leato. This is the county line between Noble and DeKalb. This is Old State Road 3, 500 south, becomes County Road 68 in DeKalb County. Here's the winery, kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. They are going to be crossing, coming from this location, crossing the Elmer Dittmer drain here, and again over here, as they take their line in that direction. The Elmer Dittmer drain is handled by DeKalb County. So we have been in contact with the DeKalb County Surveyor's Office and Drainage Board, and that they request, being that it's a regulated drain in Noble County, that we handle the variance process. And I said, I didn't believe there was any legal issue of us doing that. Told them that it would be my recommendation that it be 5 foot below the flow line of the tile.
What's the drain here? Okay, I make a motion, we approve NIPSCO's variance to put their cable in, and it must be at least 5 foot underneath the flow line of the Dittmer drain. NIPSCO. For gas. Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's up here. The third one is a driveway over the top of a regulated drain. This is up in the area where Gary Franklin did own. It was an auction. We're talking about Lonnie Bontrager. This is up in Elkhart Township. This was the entire property. I think there was 80 acres there, if I remember right, that was Gary Franklin's. This has got split up. This was where that wetland was, and all of these drains come into it. And I didn't really do the proper justice because it's more up here, but if you look on your drawing that I gave you, it goes on up and crosses the regulated drain up beyond the screen. I apologize for that. And so he's gonna cross that and put his home north of the regulated drain. So I would make a recommendation to be allowed to put in his driveway and any and all utilities, any adverse effect that the construction or putting in the underground utilities, he would be responsible for, and any damage that is done to those in the future as because of maintenance on the regulated drain would also be his responsibility.
Okay, I make a motion, what the heck's the name of the Rimmel. I make a motion, we allow Lonnie Bontrager approve his variance to put his driveway in and any utilities across the Rimmel 305 branch 3 drain, with the stipulation, if in the future we have to remove his driveway or cable, he's responsible for any damage or anything of that nature.
I'll second.
We have motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, work crew, we still have one work crew. Right now, they're on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The DOC has hired some staff back and it's looking hopeful. I have not been given official word, hopeful is starting next week, we will be back to Todd coming out his regular 4 days a week.
He is working on the Hess ditch number 134. This is both east and west of County Road 1000 East or Minor Road, south of 200 North. If you're familiar with where Betty Egoff lives, Pete Egoff was a longtime contractor. Pete's passed away some years ago, but it's both upstream and downstream. We're now on the back part of Betty's. I was out there with him at the end of last week, and on over, I believe that's on Dave Helm. So, we're going up down the north side and coming back on the south side. The north side's the working side, south side, we're taking it up to the top of the bank and then the mean, just getting that regulated drain cleaned out. Also, an update on the DOC contract. I had revised the exhibit, I think it's exhibit A on that, and given it to the chairman of the board and also to legal counsel for review. And I'm sure that they'll be getting back with me. Basically what had happened was, as I brought up to the board before, the warden originally felt uncomfortable. He didn't want to have it such that if he had to go to 130, that he would force his hand. And the way it was written, by the time it came back from the state, it stipulated 1 curve. And he understood where I was coming from. I understood where he was coming from. I made the offer to make the changes so that it allows the option. We're still hoping and praying that we can get our second crew back, and those revisions are in that as soon as I get the blessing from council and chairman, then I'll send that down the state. They're anxious to get this incorporated back into the document and then get the document.
You think they'll agree to that?
DocuSign.
You think they'll agree to that?
I don't know that there's any reason not to, unless there's, the intent was we wanted to go to 1. If the intent was that we want to be secured at 1 and never go to 2, and then I believe the drainage board, I need to know so that we know what to do, be fiscally responsible with the equipment and the vans and everything that we have, because we're still
Yeah, I
maintaining.
mean, because this exhibit A clearly says 1 work crew and.
Right, and that's why I brought it up with the warden, and,
Snowing.
it is. And, so, we'll find out if they say no, then, that there's where you stand, and then you'll have to decide as a drainage board how you wanna move forward. I'm taking the word of the warden that we just need to have flexibility on both parts.
I mean, it's fine with me as far as
Good.
it goes.
With that, one other item, typically we don't have this time of year minor repairs. We were made aware of by the Albion Parks Department, out here on State Road 8 across from the school. We have a good sized tile that starts up on the, who has the pond back there? Tommy's years ago, if you're familiar with it. It's back at Tommy Leatherman's, there's a large pond in that, and,
What side of town here?
east side of town, be north of the library, and then it comes down through the school.
Simon.
That's,
Yeah, that's.
comes down through the school, goes underneath State Road 8.
Little late.
State Road 8, INDOT's eventually going to, and I say eventually, not that far in the future, going to be rebuilding that. Then you have Owen Park, and in Owen Park, we did have a good size suckle. And so we went in and made repairs on that. We used 18-inch tile. I think we actually measured 16-inch tile, get 16-inch tile, so we put 18, made the repairs. We had a couple of other holes where, because these were old clay tiles, that they were, the cracks from when the installation was, the rodents or something got some holes started. We put some fabric over and repaired those, so. And the only reason I bring that up, first, always make you aware of minor repairs, and then secondly, as you're aware of, and I've said it before, both of the tile systems, the one that comes down to the main part of town, and also that one over there, are significantly undersized and not and some of those areas are not in good shape and they're both undersized. And a system that's not financially able to take care of that. At some point in time, probably be after me, there's gonna have to be some grant money and cooperative effort between the town and the drainage board to upsize those. The one on the east side is a little scarier because if that dam would ever break loose, then it's going to adversely affect the school system. So that is all I have unless the drainage board has something else. And the next meeting, I believe, is on the 8th.
Nothing else, I do too.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor, say
aye.
One meeting.
I gotta be in Fort Wayne at 3, so I'm not, this is just opening bids, isn't it? What's that? Is he gonna come in right now?
aye. Well, we've got Ziegler right outside.
Oh, okay, he's coming,
Yeah,
okay.
here.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, if we go to lunch and come back, man, I won't have time.
So we're moving ahead then, is it after all this discussion, is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we